Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:06. It's Tuesday morning, the 25th day of February, and we're all raring to go here. Have you filled out what 5 things did you do last week? I'm confused. Like half of the government agencies were told that they didn't have to do it, and then Musk said they did have to do it. OPM said they didn't have to do it, but then I think Trump said they did have to do it. Why don't you just do it? Again, I would do it.
It's 5 things.
5 things.
Yeah, I actually just wrote a list.
Did you?
At like 3 a.m. when I was of the things I have to do today.
Yeah.
Took me 10 minutes. Actually, less.
That's 2 minutes a thing.
I mean, just get it done.
Coming up at 7:05, Tim Graham, Media Research Center. What the hell? The carnage at NBC continues. They canned another. Guess who agrees with me that this is obviously racism at play here? Because everyone who lost their job yesterday, including Lester Holt, people of color, like Dan Bongino, like you mentioned yesterday, that Dan Bongino is a person of color.
Larry.
Anyway, just another DEI hire over at FBI. Keith Olbermann agrees with me that NBC News is clearly racist. So the fact that I'm in league with Keith Olbermann makes me rethink my entire position. 7:35, Jim Hansen, one of our favorite experts on military strategy about Ukraine. And then at 8:35, speaking of favorites, Congressman Jim Jordan from our favorite state, the heart of it all, the Buckeye State, OHIO.
There you go.
Ohio.
Oh, Bucks.
Well, this J.D. Vance thing has sort of made me rethink all of my life positions.
I love that it wasn't my husband.
No, hell
He's not offended.
Well, he's not J.D. Vance. What is going on in the intelligence community? Good morning,
honestly,
Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
I'm Larry
honestly.
O'Connor. This
Yes,
is Julie Gunlock.
This is the last civilized word we will have because it's about to. I'm going to start putting bleach in my eyes after hearing all this.
Get the bleep button ready because we can't talk about the intelligence community without suddenly we're doing late night talk on Cinemax or something. What is happening over there?
So weird.
They spend a lot of time looking into people's lives and their secrets, and I guess they've got some secrets of their own. Christopher Rufo. You'll remember Chris Rufo. He's the guy that blew the lid off of CRT, DEI trainings, HR. Blew the lid off of Disney. He got a hold of that Zoom call where all the producers at Disney and Pixar were talking about how they were doing all these pro-queer storylines, using their words, by the way. I don't like using the word queer storylines into Disney's children programming, and, well, that left a mark. He's also exposed what goes on in many of our colleges and universities and all the DEI stuff there. So now he's got this other breaking exclusive. He published it at City Journal. That's city-journal.org. Good stuff there. Logs from the NSA's secret transgender sex chat room, in which NSA, CIA, and DIA employees discuss genital castration, artificial vaginas. Well, I was going to say V word, and then I realized, I can say that.
It's actually,
it is. It's a clinical word, medical term.
Yep,
I just feel very uncomfortable.
I don't either.
Sorry.
We should go with the Shonda Rhimes of JJ. There you go. He is reading this
I
am.
Now.
Okay?
I'm not just coming up with this off the top of my head.
I really wish that it was Friday and Patrice was here.
So they have an intelligence. Me too. I love seeing her face when this stuff is in the storyline. Basically, they have this whole chat. So this is a chat room on their servers, internal servers like Slack, what a private company would use, except because it's government and military. This is like super secure stuff.
My company uses GChat. There's all these different platforms you can use.
One popular chat topic, according to Christopher Rufo, was male-to-female transgender surgery. It involves surgically removing the penis and turning it into an artificial vagina. These male intelligence agents love the feeling of... So I'm going to stop now.
Oh, thank you.
The point is, it's really, really gross stuff. And this is all happening on company time,
guys,
by the way.
I'm glad Larry stopped. But, I mean, it is...
It's sex fetish
I
stuff.
feel like it's hard to shock me these days.
Yeah.
This is shocking stuff.
It really
what they
is.
are discussing. I mean, the detail and just extreme sort of subject matter here on a government work chat room. It's amazing.
Yeah, and of course they have time to do this. They don't have time to put together a memo of 5 things they accomplished last week because this would be one of the things. I learned more about using its pronouns last week. This is bizarre. Listen, I'm not a prude. I understand that there's plenty of sexual things going on in the world. These are people who work at the national security agencies. They work in the intelligence community. By the way, last I checked, if you're like, we're told that people who work at the CIA and the Office of National Intelligence and FBI counterintelligence and all these people who, have these top secret classified clearances, that they're the best of the best because they can't be compromised.
So we're told they have sort of cleared all these sort of clearances,
yes.
Right? They've been checked out. What?
They're all, these are pristine and I understand we're all sinful. We're a fallen race. I get it, but it seems to me that if you're into all of this stuff, you're somewhat compromised potentially by our foreign adversaries.
Yes.
And you can't tell me that these systems, if you're talking like this with your colleagues on the job in this system, you let other stuff slip out too.
Yeah.
While you're on the job, and that makes you vulnerable for being compromised by an enemy as well. Not to mention the fact that this is just a waste of time and federal money that this is going on at work. Here's the other thing. I was told during Biden that we had all this HR protocols and DEI protocols about inclusivity, and you're not supposed to say certain things on the job because it'll make your coworkers uncomfortable. Trust me, I work for a corporation that puts us through this all the time. How is this not making people uncomfortable? Knowing that this kind of talk is going on at work. You're sitting at work, you see your group chat, I wonder what this chat room is, and you click on it, and yes, bleach. It's time for bleach. For every part, I don't want to see or hear any of this stuff, especially when I'm at work.
I mean, look, I think this reveals a lot more than just unprofessionalism. I mean, there is some really strange things being discussed on these platforms. Again, yes, making you vulnerable. The fact that, and it's not just the fact that you're doing these things, it's the fact that you're talking about these things on government time. Yep. That also makes you vulnerable to blackmail and to, again, foreign entities that might want to just leave your trunk unlocked or just leave your keys available to us. I mean, this is stuff that happens. And you look at these chat rooms. I also want to just say, how great is Christopher Rufo?
He's a real investigative journalist.
He really is. And I think about these sort of never-Trumpers and that principles first thing that happened this weekend and all those people getting up there talking about how they're saving democracy. This is actual stuff that's going to keep people safe. This is cleaning out some of these agencies of people who are wasting time talking about this stuff during government office hours when they're supposed to be protecting us.
Right. Yeah. And a final thing not a final thing, because we're going to talk about this in our next segment after we check on traffic, but you see this stuff and you think, you can't just arbitrarily create your own sort of chat room on the server and make it all happen. Someone approved this. Someone said absolutely on company. You have to ask who is in charge when this happens. Who gives the green light to set up this chat room for the sex fetish, trans fetish employees at the national security agencies and across our intelligence communities? And we should certainly find out about that. We know who's in charge now, though. Her name is Tulsi Gabbard, and she had a comment about this. We'll tell you what that was. And also, apparently, CIA said, here, hold my beer, because I'll see your trans sex fetish chat room, and I'll up the ante with treason. We'll tell you what CNN is saying about the CIA's 7th floor right now and some threats that are being made if they get laid off. That's in a moment. First, though, it's 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news.
All right, let's start with the new boss over there at NSA. She has put a comment out on X, the Everything app, brought to you by Elon Musk. She, of course, Tulsi Gabbard. She says this behavior is unacceptable, and those involved will be held accountable. These disgusting chat rooms were immediately shut down when President Trump issued his EO ending the DEI insanity the Biden administration was obsessed with. So pause right there. There's your answer. Under the guise of DEI and the old rules under Biden and OMB. This was sort of, hey, you need to be inclusive here,
Yeah.
and this is who we are, so we need to have our safe space to talk about these things. Was there a heterosexual sex chat room?
Right. How about
by the way, you know what? I don't think I want the answer to that question now that
How
I
about
think
a
about
Catholic chat room, right?
it. Oh, about practicing
Catholic
our faith.
parents,
Yeah.
yes.
That's a great question.
Doubt it.
See, I always go to more sex. You actually.
Well, apparently so do they.
Apparently they do. So this was under the guise of and approval of and rubber stamp, if I can use that phrase in this context,
dear.
of DEI and inclusivity. Because if you say, you know what, guys, that's inappropriate, you're being uninclusive.
That's right.
You're not diverse enough. All right. Tulsi Gabbard continues. Our intelligence community must be focused on our core mission, ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. And that is the bottom line here. You see stuff like that, and you realize the people on the job not only are wasting our money, but they're also spending time on this instead of doing the one thing that they're supposed to do. And this is the NSA. They're supposed to stop people from trying to tear down our government and kill innocent people.
This is another sign that things have just gotten too big. If you have enough time to spend, and let me tell you, Christopher Rufo puts out a lot of pictures here of these chats. Not those kinds of pictures.
Not explicit.
No,
pictures.
of the chat.
Screenshots of what they were saying.
Of the chats. Oh boy, it's really.
You're about
hard
to
get through
Chris
this.
Rufo was about to blow up on social
exactly.
media after that one.
But he puts out the images of these chats, and these are long form conversations. They're rather long strings of chats. The idea that you have time to sort of talk about something like this in the middle of the day during work hours, again, another example of how government's become too bloated.
Yes, it's wasteful. It's making us less secure. It's gross. It's tawdry. It's not treasonous. CIA, though, they've got something going on over at Langley. Headline, how Trump's government-cutting moves risk exposing the CIA's secrets. So you think, because they're taking the chainsaw to the CIA, they're going to accidentally sort of fire somebody who's in charge of keeping things secret, and then it's going to get, thrown. I think, yes, there's a lot in the article about that. But then you get to this paragraph. On the CIA's 7th floor, now the 7th floor they're the bigwigs.
Yeah.
These are the top guys. A lot of them are political appointees, though.
The executive level.
It's funny how everything is 7 floors, right? They say this about the FBI and the Justice Department as well. It's like the 7th floor people. They're either people who are big bosses and in charge and transcend from one administration to the other, or the people who were just hired for this administration, the political appointees. But either way. On the CIA's 7th floor, home to top leadership, some officers are also quietly discussing. Remember that phrase there, quietly discussing. How mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. Talk about a buried lead.
What?
So they're basically saying that they're quietly discussing amongst themselves that if somebody gets fired or laid off due to budget cuts and DOGE, these CIA employees will commit treason. They'll just go to our enemies and share information. Take what they know to a foreign intelligence service.
This is...
So in other words, you better not fire me.
That's exactly right, because it's them signaling you could have a real problem on your hands.
Let me tell you something, Seven. Yeah, quietly discussing amongst themselves. Of course, nobody's named in this. It's all anonymous. It's all leaked to CNN reporters. Quietly discussing. So if they're quiet, first of all, they're not quietly discussing it because they're talking to CNN reporters about it.
Yes, exactly.
That's not quietly discussing, number one. And number two, that means that they know amongst themselves who is inclined to turn on them.
My God.
If they should get fired. And one must wonder if they retain their jobs because of that, because they've held something over leadership on the 7th floor. If somebody is working at the CIA right now and people on the 7th floor are quietly discussing amongst themselves that they could easily take what they know to foreign intelligence services, maybe they should do something about those employees now rather than keeping them on the job.
Yeah, maybe these people should be brought up to Congress right now, and there should be a conversation about and also maybe that media person should quietly leak who he heard that from.
Thank you.
I mean, are you an American? This is deeply disturbing information coming out of the CIA.
It's 5:23.
Making sense of your world.
Greatly appreciated.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
I love listening to you.
Making sense of the news. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
5:36. It's O'Connor and Company on this very lively Tuesday morning. Coming up at 7:05, Tim Graham of Media Research Center. What the heck's going on over there at the Peacock Network? 7:35, Jim Hansen, latest out of Ukraine and French President Macron's visit. And then at 8:35, Jim Jordan of Ohio. The eyes and ears of law and justice on Capitol Hill. I am Larry O'Connor, and that blonde woman right there is Julie Gunlock.
Well, thank you.
I just had to pause for a moment. It looked like Marilyn Monroe for a second.
Sure.
There. I just needed to reorient. So what's going on with the governor of Wisconsin? Tony Evers. Apparently there's some legislation going on. This is a bill that's making its way through the legislation, and the governor's office reworded a bunch of stuff. This is in the budget, by the way, in the budget. So they're just doing their regular budget process in Wisconsin right there, 5 weeks into their legislative session. And the governor's office went through and changed every reference to from mother to inseminated person. You're an inseminated person.
This makes me so mad. Nothing like your kid seeing you at school pickup and going, "Hi, inseminated person." Doesn't it have such a lovely ring to it? This is disgusting, and women are really tired of this. And what is so rich is these are Democrats. These are Wisconsin. We're talking about Wisconsin. Yeah. Loons, okay? They're similar to Virginia Democrats, okay? Or Maryland Democrats. Let's keep in mind that Democrats like to say that Republicans are the party of the Handmaid's Tale, okay? Which is essentially turning women into inseminated people, right?
They dehumanize women.
Always projection.
And mothers.
Always. The things they accuse us of is what they want to do, and it's dehumanizing. It's just disgusting, and it's all in the service of the cult of trans ideology. It's absolutely in the service of the trans lobby.
A wife or a husband is now changed to spouse, which is somewhat less objectionable, I suppose, depending on whether you're like if I'm talking to a woman, I'm going to default to husband. If I'm saying, tell me about your husband, not your spouse, because spouse suggests that your husband might not be a man, or anyway. Yeah, anyway, the point is, and then this one I don't understand. Paternity has been changed to patronage. Paternity is fathering
it's
a
still
child.
The same Latin root.
And patronage implies some sort of transactional relationship, doesn't it?
We are talking about the Democrats. So.
Father is now changed to natural parent. I'm so proud to be a natural parent.
It's so funny, though, because someone's going to object to the idea of natural.
Right.
So, someone's going to get upset
Define
and go,
natural.
Well, just because they're adopted doesn't mean this isn't natural. Someone's going to get their panties in a wad.
But we're in a world where Donald Trump signed an executive order doing away with this kind of stuff in an arena full of 20,000 people. And the place went crazy, and he threw the pens out to the audience. And now here's this guy over in Madison talk about read the room.
No, exactly. Everyone's tired of this stuff.
Yeah. Here is Republican Wisconsin State Senator Andre Jacquet talking about
in all my time in and around politics, this is probably the dumbest proposal that I've seen. I think it's incredibly offensive to women, to mothers.
And then here is a local Wisconsin news report sort of getting Evers' side of the story.
Evers told Fox 11 he stands by his proposal, which was included as part of his 1,900-page state budget bill. He believes Republicans are misconstruing his attempt at helping families who use in vitro fertilization for their own political gain.
Hold on. So
wait, what?
That's amazing. So if you become a mother via in vitro fertilization, which is a whole other story that I don't want to get into right now, but let's just say you become a mother because of in vitro fertilization. Are you not technically a mother?
Can you imagine?
You've just been inseminated.
I mean, I know people who have become mothers because of IVF, and this. He's suggesting he's being sensitive to them. I would say that a mother who became a mother because of IVF, being called anything but a mother, is what would
be insensitive. Yes.
This is
In fact, technically, if you really want to get technical about this, if you're a mother via IVF, you were not inseminated. The Petri dish was inseminated.
Yeah,
I mean, you've been implanted or recipient
also,
of an implant.
If you're the mother through IVF, you've taken extraordinary measures and spent a ton of money and gone through personal pain to be called. Of anyone who should be called mother, probably these women who have endured this are the ones who should be called mother.
Well, let's hear that again, because he claims that Republicans' objection is insensitive to parents of IVF.
Republicans are misconstruing his attempt at helping families who use in vitro fertilization for their own political gain.
All we want is to make sure that moms and dads have the legal, things have been taken care of legally so that moms can have a year of service from an OBGYN. End of story.
Is the change needed for something like that, as he
Not
explains?
at all. Not at all.
Right.
I've never heard that explanation. That has never been presented. And did he actually call them mothers when he said that? Because if he understands the term as easily as you and I do now, there certainly would be no call for him to change it in the statutes.
He literally said, we're doing this so moms and dads. It's like, wait, whoa.
What?
So if they're moms and dads in our casual conversation, why aren't they moms and dads in the actual legal language of the bill?
It is mind-boggling. But honestly, this is the smallness of the Democrats, the smallness of their minds and how they do sort of stunts like this. Instead of actual real work that can help people, they don't really care. They do these little stunts. Again, usually at the behest of the cult of transgenderism or the cult of the LGB whatever X, Y, and Z.
That's what Governor Evers in Wisconsin is focused on right now. But over here in our neighborhood, the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, well, he is also reading the room, and he sees a lot of federal workers who are very concerned about their future.
WMAL, making sense of the headlines, because common sense isn't so common. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
There's no doubt that people have already lost their job. Many people have lost their jobs through the fact that they were hired just on a probationary basis. So, despite the fact that they only had their job for, say, a handful of months or maybe up to, what's probationary, 1 year or is it 2 years? I can't remember now with federal work. But
I think it's one.
I think it's 1 year. But still, it doesn't matter. Even if you've only been on the job for 10 months, it is jarring and it is harrowing to have to now find out that you're out of a job. Or if people took advantage of the buyout situation, so they could take early pension, get, 8 months of severance.
8 months, yep.
Not a bad deal, but now you're probably saying, okay, what's next? Well, the governor of Virginia has a really good news for you. He sort of did a whole publicity tour yesterday, letting anyone who works or lives in Northern Virginia, or even people who live across the Potomac, letting them know that Virginia has plenty of jobs for you.
Virginia has jobs, and we've got a lot of them.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin announced a support resource package for federal workers looking for new jobs. It can be found on virginiahasjobs.com. That's where people can find open jobs, upcoming job fairs, resources to help them in their job search, and how to apply for unemployment and other benefits.
Nick Minnock at WJLA with the story. We've got more of it, but how smart is this guy? He's got the website going, virginiahasjobs.com. We got resources. We'll give you job training if necessary. Apparently, right now, Virginia has over 250,000 private sector jobs, including 100,000 in Northern Virginia, which, where's Maryland right now? Hello? Pretty big echo chamber going on in Maryland right now.
Yeah, and Virginia Democrats are really trying to somehow blame Youngkin for all of this.
That's the other thing.
So I think they're trying to get ahead of this. It's very smart, though. They're trying to get ahead of it, and it is a great way to attract some good qualified people for these roles, as long as they're not from NSA and on these chat rooms.
That's correct.
If there could be some sort
you will be vetted.
Yes.
But you're right. It's very smart in terms of blunting Democrats' attacks on Republicans. Yep. Oh, you're big MAGA guy there, Glenn Youngkin, but look what he's doing to the Virginians. He's blunting it immediately. And he's also giving cover to Trump, by the way, because in the interviews yesterday, he said, hey, I'm not against what Trump and Musk are doing. Not everyone has a birthright to work in the federal government. What I'm saying is, just like people in the private sector who have lost their jobs, you look for another one, and I've got them right here.
I actually have extraordinary empathy for the fact that there are many workers in Virginia today from our federal workforce who are experiencing real concerns.
Democratic State Senator Scott Surville represents Fairfax County, and he says he would like to see the governor fight for federal workers.
I think Virginians would much rather see our governor stand up and fight for their jobs instead of just taking a knee to Trump and Elon Musk every time they make an announcement.
All right, so do you think that has any political weight? That's going to be he's not fighting to keep your jobs. He's just saying, get another job.
We can't, look, that's the role of Don Byert. My God, all that guy does is get up there and complain about, maybe that's his job. Maybe that's who he reps. I get it. But the governor is very smart to say, come to Virginia. You live here anyway. We've got jobs.
Right.
Let's take advantage of this.
Yeah, and what Virginian thinks that the role of the governor of Virginia is to fight to make sure you can keep your job in the federal government?
Well, certainly the two Democrat senators from Virginia who only represent Northern Virginia bureaucrats, 100% think that's why Virginians, particularly downstate, need to get out and vote for senators who will represent the whole state, not just the bureaucrats in D.C.
This obviously is going to be a major issue for the gubernatorial. We're in the middle of the gubernatorial campaign right now in Virginia. Election day is coming up in September. Abigail Spanberger seems to be the presumptive nominee for the Democrats, Winsome Sears for the Republicans, although both have some challenges now going on, so we'll see how that plays out. But this is going to be an issue. I think that this is a big gift to Lieutenant Governor Sears to be able to say, she's got a message now to all of these federal workers.
Last week, the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and County Chair Jeff McKay voted to request support from the governor for federal workers and contractors.
Yes, we have to call on him to do something.
McKay claimed he had a conversation with the governor.
And I'm asking if you've had a conversation with the governor.
I have.
So, Governor, have you chatted with Fairfax County Chairman Jeff McKay about federal workforce matters?
I have not.
Wait, so hold on a minute. That audio is actually pretty fun. In fact, I think we have an extended cut of that where Jeff McKay, chairman of the supervisors of the Board of Supervisors of Fairfax, says he's got to be fighting for us. He's got to be fighting for all of these employees. He's got to be fighting for this. And then Pat Harity, who is the lone Republican voice on the board, says, well, have you talked to the governor about that, if that's what you want him to do? And McKay says, absolutely, I have. Yes, I have. And then Minnock goes to the governor and says, have you talked to McKay? Because I have not had any conversation with McKay.
Minnock will follow up.
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh, hold on. Here's the longer cut here. It's fantastic. Hold on. Here it is. Here it is. This is beautiful.
He lives in Fairfax County. He knows that our economy is based on federal spending and federal contractors. And when we need his leadership most, he's doing nothing. So yes, we have to call on him to do something.
So have you had a conversation with the governor?
If the governor understood the magnitude of what it, you can laugh all you want, Pat. This is not a laughing matter.
I'm not laughing. I'm asking if you've had a conversation with the governor.
I have. All right. And at the end of the day.
Youngkin was asked point blank if you had a conversation with McKay
about. Have you done that?
And Youngkin says, no, I haven't had a word. But he had never called me. There you go. Listen, this is very interesting. But by the way, really important here. This is not Youngkin trying to show up Trump or Musk or trying to sort of do some sort of end around. He was asked point blank, do you think what Musk and Trump is doing is wrong?
Governor, talk about this federal workforce downsizing. What are you doing to prevent these jobs from Virginians from losing jobs in the first place? Here?
Well, let me just begin with the fact is that I don't believe that the federal government downsizing is wrong. And in fact, we need to press forward and drive efficiencies.
Let me just say, it's okay for an American citizen, and especially a conservative Republican, to believe multiple things at once. You should downsize the federal government, and yes, that means people lose their federal jobs. You should have empathy for the people who do lose their jobs, and then you can encourage them to get jobs that are open and looking to be filled right now because that helps the economy. All three of those things can happen at the same time.
That's right.
And Youngkin's doing it. And by the way, that's the official position of O'Connor and Company. It's 5:54.